Welcome to the GasCast podcast. I am today's host. My name is Brian, and I am here with
Phil, Nate, Glenn, Sam.
And today we are going to be looking at the most eco-friendly and maybe not so eco-friendly companies that probably all impact your lives in terms of their greenhouse gas emissions. Just out of curiosity, guys, do you think that a majority of the companies that you guys shop for and support are damaging or more so helpful, making strides for the environment?
I'd say damaging.
Damaging?
Yeah, for sure damaging.
Like,
absolutely damaging.
damaging the environment. Even if they donate to charity, I mean, it's still damaging the environment, you know?
Right. Well, according to editor George Youssef of Forbes magazine, he said that U.S. citizens, about 57% of them believe that companies have a negative impact on the environment, while only about 30% believe that companies are making a positive impact on the environment. Well, most cases are most companies do not have enough money to invest in green energies and making such sort of impacts on the environment. So I'm going to focus more on the bigger corporations, the ones that have more money. So I'm first going to be talking about something that's all relevant in all of our lives, is Northern Illinois University. Shout out to the green team at Northern Illinois University. They have, since the year 2000, reduced our carbon footprint by 525,000 metric tons, which is the equivalent to removing about 74,000 passenger vehicles off the road, or planting about 150,000 acres of pine trees. So that's a significant impact. We've also introduced a solar panel heating system to actually heat all of our indoor pools, which is pretty cool. And also by 2020, we are looking to make designs for more energy efficient steam engines, which will make the whole university more energy efficient.
Yeah, I guess we should also say that we all attend NIU.
Right, yeah,
so
right.
Talk about a random university.
Right, I'm sorry. I thought that was assumed we are all students at Northern Illinois University. So the university is actually making good strides for our environment. So I'm probably going to start off talking about the companies that are not so eco-friendly. According to Tess Riley, Guardian, she said about 100 companies are responsible for about 71% of global emissions. And most of these companies are actually foreign overseas oil companies, mostly centered in the Middle East. Some major companies that are not doing very much any good and have billions of dollars, some include ExxonMobil, BP. Like I said, the ExxonMobil Corp, BP, Chevron, all these big American energy companies, what they're doing is they're investing in coal that's more dirty and more easily mineable, which is why they're doing it. But the coal they're harvesting is more polluting towards the atmosphere, and they aren't shifting their focus to more cleaner fossil fuels. Like I said, about 100 of these big energy oil companies are making about almost 3/4 of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. So for anything to really change on a global level, these companies are going to have to start investing in better, cleaner, really just shifting their focus on better energy alternatives and more efficient ways to mine, produce, and transport their oil. But really, no practices have been helping the environment. So,
Yeah, because it's like, why would they change if they're not getting any
right.
backlash?
And these companies are profiting billions. On the other hand, some other companies that are doing well for like example, how many of you have used Google in the past 2 days?
I have currently the tab's open right now.
Right.
A second ago.
So Google is actually one of the forefront leaders in eco-friendly businesses. In 2017, they reached 100% renewable energy for their global operations.
Not surprising. They got a lot of people to please, and they got a lot of fuck you money to do it.
They are definitely one of the most profitable businesses globally. In 2010, they signed about 34 agreements to purchase about 4 gigawatts of new renewable energy. In 2017, they purchased, I'm sorry, I said 2010. I said 2017, I meant 2010. They signed their first agreement to purchase all the electricity from 114 megawatt wind farm in Iowa, which has enough power to light up 2,500 stores. Today, they are actually the world's largest corporate buyer of renewable power, and they plan on reaching about 2.6 gigawatts of wind and solar energy. So that's awesome compared to, let's say, Bing, who isn't investing much in their renewable energy technologies. Also, Google is doing a lot along their corporate supply chain to reduce their emissions in terms of tracking their transportation and their drivers, so their transportation is the most efficient it can be. They actually produced in 2018 10 million megawatt hours of renewable energy, which is more electricity than used annually by the state of Hawaii. That's awesome. Google actually more than doubles what Amazon is purchasing in renewable energy. And it's funny because they're actually the second largest purchaser of renewable energy, right behind the U.S. Department of Defense. I'm gonna, on that note, switch companies and ask you guys how many of you have used Amazon in the past week?
Not in the past week.
Not in the past week? Have you guys
I used it like an hour ago.
An hour ago. All right. In 2018, the largest purchaser of solar renewable energy, so that's awesome. They are committed to being 100% powered by renewable energy, which Google achieved in 2017, so I could see probably that's why they're the leader.
So do these companies have their own like wind farms and like solar panel farms just like around the country?
Right, yeah. Actually, a lot of them are starting to invest in on-site solar and wind energy, and they're starting to contract more and more energy from like wind farms. So like I said, like Google in 2010 contracted a wind farm in Iowa to produce enough power for like 2,500 of their stores. And more companies are starting to do this, and Amazon actually has the most on-site renewable energy locations in the United States. So, yes, to answer your question, a lot of these companies do have on-site power, but the problem with on-site power is mainly getting that power back to the power grid. A lot of the infrastructure in renewable energy isn't made sufficiently in coordination with data centers, where they're actually working from, for them to produce renewable energy there and get it back efficiently to the power grid, if that makes sense. The solar projects that Amazon are doing right now are producing about 98 megawatts of energy, and they actually plan on being net zero carbon by 2030. That is one of their goals. I think one of the most important things for companies is to actually make sustainable goals for themselves, and that's what sets apart these companies from other companies, is promoting their eco-friendly regulations. Would you guys want to buy from a company over a certain company if they promoted their
Well,
product.
promoting maybe, but
And-
if they acted on it, then definitely. Because
Right.
a lot of companies just spew hot air.
Yes.
There had to be some proof.
Yeah.
Of
So-
taking action.
So you're saying you need proof that.
Yeah, because a lot of companies will, like, 1 minute, like, it's just good PR for them to say that they're doing environmental, like, good.
Right.
And then they'll just dump coal ash into the river the next second.
I actually saw this article on a shoe that was being made by Nike. Nike had the first idea to make the shoe, like a shoe completely 100% made of recyclable material. They promoted it as such, and when it released, people actually, sales for that shoe were not nearly what they expected it to be. I think the main problem with it was people saw it as a less durable material because when they think of their traditional products compared to a new product made of something, a completely new material, people did not trust it. So in about 4 years, Adidas did the same thing, and they didn't market the eco-friendly aspect as much, and sales were actually much higher for that shoe. So I don't know if like actual proof, or pushing a market technique in somebody's face is like more effective. But in my honest opinion, if a company said that they were going to start making shoes out of recyclable materials instead of another company that is not, I will take the hit in quality to sacrifice for what they're doing to the environment. That's just my 2 cents on it. But statistics say that the less you push something in somebody's face in terms of being eco-friendly, the more they're gonna be accepting of it, if that makes sense, which is that I found very interesting.
Just to counter that, I guess, like, there's, another company like Patagonia.
Right.
All their stuff is made from like recycled material, but it also lasts a long time too. Like you can like wear a T-shirt and like wear it for like years.
Yeah, exactly. There was no like evidence saying that Nike shoe was less durable than Adidas shoe. That was just people's perception of that shoe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, that was back in I think 2004. So people's perception of the environment and what we're doing for it is different than what it is now.
I just looked up both of those shoes. They're both kind of bad.
Yeah.
The Nike one looks like like it's a baseball, and the Adidas one looks like it's made of cauliflower.
It's like styrofoam.
Like,
Right.
like that's the Adidas one. That's the Nike one. Looks like a baseball. And they both don't look very good.
Yeah, so like I said, there wasn't necessarily decline in quality, it's just people's perception of the shoe. I'm sure they had the same reaction as you, and they were just not interested. I'm going to switch topics here for a little bit. Just out of curiosity, do you guys take in consideration, if you've ever purchased a car, its eco-friendliness?
Honestly, not.
No?
No.
I haven't bought a car, but my car is has okay miles per gallon. I don't think
So
I
you
would
look at the MPG?
Yeah, I don't think I would ever drive a car that got 7 miles per gallon.
Right.
It's way too low.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, obviously the smaller cars have more miles per gallon, and Toyota came out with the Prius, which they're very high in MPG. I was actually looking at some of the most sustainable car companies. Do you guys want to guess what the most sustainable car company was?
Toyota?
Toyota was actually, that was a good guess, ranked number 2.
Honda.
Honda was ranked number 5. Actually, the number 1 most sustainable car company is BMW. They came out with an electric I-Series, so actually started putting out all these cars that were 100% electric. They also started a policy where they, by 2025, all of their plants are going to be zero emissions. So Tesla also, of course, are making their electric cars, but it's really in terms like the production, what's coming off the line, and that efficiency that really puts car companies apart from each other. Fun fact, General Motors actually ranks number 8, but one of their goals is actually to reduce their carbon footprint by 77%. And GM is actually starting to do a lot with their global fleet, and they have an audacious goal by 2023 to introduce 20 new zero emissions vehicles. In terms of that transportation, airline companies actually make up about 2% of global emissions. Surprisingly. Which airlines do you guys fly? Curious.
Any?
Whatever's cheapest.
Whatever's
Yeah, whatever
cheapest.
else.
Whatever's cheapest.
Okay. So I'm thinking Spirit,
Yes.
because they are definitely one of the most inefficient and non-eco-friendly companies in terms of their sustainability practices. United and Virgin Airlines actually ranks highest in terms of their sustainability practices. United Airlines actually this past year made history by flying the most eco-friendly commercial flight of its kind. They used a biofuel blend that produced one of the least amount of emissions in the history of the building of passenger planes. I did want to talk about Walmart. I'll touch on them briefly. Walmart is one of the most sustainable corporate brands out there in terms of the amount of stores they have. They plan on being 100% renewable energy powered, and they want to reduce about 20 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And they produce 7 billion kilowatts of renewable energy power. So they're a big corporate entity, and I'm sure all of you have shopped there in the past maybe like month. They definitely have a lot of on-site solar and wind energy investments too, which is awesome. Are there any other companies you guys are curious about in terms of efficiency practices? Maybe I can provide some insight. Or
Target, Walmart.
Target compared to Walmart. Target actually has a lot of great sustainability practices too, but they are not nearly as big of an investor in terms of renewable energy compared to Walmart. So their carbon footprint is significantly higher, and Walmart is actually, I think, the 4th or 5th biggest purchaser of renewable energy. So Target isn't even like in the top 100.
So Walmart said that they want to be like 100% renewable and stuff like that. Did they have like a timeline for that? Or was it just them saying that they want to do that?
Well, by the end of 2020, they plan on being 25% powered by renewable energies. Problem with Walmart is they're just so big and they're everywhere, so it's hard to power every single store with renewable energy, but they have reported that they have eliminated 35 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. I don't know if they have a time on that, but they are making great strides compared to every other company in terms of their size, so it's pretty impressive. So with that, we're kind of out of time. Thank you for all tuning in. This has been Brian with my partners
Phil.
Nate.
Glenn?
Sam.
This has been the GasCast, and we are now signing off.